I was always the forgotten son, until my parents needed me and they finally saw the truth. I used to think family meant something, that blood was thicker than water, that no matter what, the people who raised you would always have your back. Turns out, that was a fairy tale, a lie I clung to even when the truth was staring me dead in the face. I was never the favorite. That honor belonged to my younger brother, Ethan, the golden child, the miracle, the one who could do no wrong, even when he did. Our parents practically worshipped the ground he walked on. Meanwhile, I was just there. The afterthought, the inconvenience they tolerated out of obligation. It started early. If Ethan wanted a toy, he got it. If I asked for the same thing, I was being greedy. If Ethan broke something, it was an accident. If I so much as looked at something wrong, I was reckless. When we got older, the differences only became more obvious. They poured every resource into Ethan: private tutors, elite sports camps, the best schools. Me? I worked part-time in high school just to afford my own clothes. If I ever spoke up, I was being ungrateful. I remember my high school graduation. I had worked my ass off, gotten solid grades, even saved up for a used car. But as I stood on that stage scanning the crowd for my parents, they weren't there. They were at Ethan's soccer tournament. My own graduation didn't matter because Ethan had a real future. I left home at 18 and never looked back. Put myself through college, worked multiple jobs, built a life from nothing. No handouts, no safety nets, and I was fine with that. At least I thought I was. Until last year. Last year, my parents called me for the first time in over a decade. No birthday wishes, no checking in to see if I was alive. Just a voicemail from my mother, voice trembling, saying, "We need to talk." Life hadn't been kind to them. Dad had a stroke. Mom was struggling to take care of him. Their savings had run dry. And Ethan, their perfect golden boy, he had moved across the country and ghosted them the moment things got tough. The same son they had adored, defended, and placed on a pedestal had abandoned them without a second thought. And now, they were desperate. Now, suddenly, I mattered. I won't lie. When I heard the desperation in my mother's voice, there was a moment, just a moment, where I felt something. A flicker of that old, naive part of me that wanted their love, their approval. But then I remembered the birthdays they forgot, the holidays I spent alone, the years I struggled while they lavished Ethan with everything I never got. And I realized something. I owed them nothing. So I called them back. I kept my voice even, polite, detached. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said when my mother started crying about how hard things had been. "I really am, but I don't think I can help." She didn't understand at first. She stammered, kept repeating herself, as if I had just misheard, as if this was some clerical error. But we're family," she said. That made me laugh. Family. That word again. The same word they ignored when I needed them most. "Did you ever think about me as family when you let me struggle alone?" I asked. "Did you ever think about me when you missed my graduation, when I couldn't afford groceries, when you acted like I didn't exist?" Silence. Then my father, weak but still capable of venom, spoke for the first time. "You're being selfish," he rasped, holding a grudge over nothing. Nothing. That was what my entire childhood had been to them. Nothing. I smiled, even though they couldn't see me. "Ethan's your favorite, right?" I said. "I'm sure he'll come through for you." "He won't answer our calls," my mother whispered. Wow, I let that sink in. That must be hard, feeling abandoned by your own son. More silence. Then my mother, in one last desperate attempt, choked out, "Please, we have nowhere else to go." And that was the moment everything changed. I expected the anger, the accusations, the guilt-tripping, but instead, my mother started crying. Not the pleading, performative kind she had always used to manipulate me. This was different. Raw. Real. "We were wrong," she whispered. "We were so wrong." I froze. My father didn't speak, but the weight of regret in his silence was louder than anything he could have said. My mother kept going, words spilling out like a dam had broken. "We thought we were doing what was best. We thought if we gave Ethan everything, he'd take care of us one day. We never saw what we were doing to you, and now we have no one." I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just desperation. This was realization, regret, true remorse. And for the first time in my life, I saw them not as the gods of my childhood, not as the villains of my past, but as deeply flawed, broken people who had made a terrible mistake. I took a deep breath. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I admitted, "but I can't watch you suffer either." They didn't deserve kindness, but maybe, just maybe, that was the lesson they needed most. I didn't swoop in to save them. I didn't move back home or become the son they had always ignored, but I helped. I arranged for an aide to take care of my father. I helped my mother get back on her feet. I made sure they had the support they needed, but not from me directly. And then I walked away, not out of spite, but because I had finally made peace with the past. Months later, I got a letter from my mother, handwritten, shaky, and tear-stained. "You were right. Family isn't about blood, it's about love, and we failed you. I can never undo what we did, but I see you now. I only wish I had seen you sooner." I read that letter a dozen times before tucking it away. It didn't erase the past, but it gave me something I never thought I'd have. Closure. And finally, I was free. Or so I thought. Weeks later, a lawyer contacted me. My parents had updated their will, leaving everything to me. Not out of guilt, but as a final acknowledgement that I had always been the one who stood by them, even from a distance. The irony was suffocating. The wealth, the security, everything they once reserved for Ethan was now mine. A part of me wanted to reject it, to prove that I didn't need what they never offered before. But another part of me knew this wasn't about money. It was about recognition, about finally being seen. Then, just as I was beginning to accept it, Ethan reappeared. Not with apologies or regret, but with fury. He hadn't cared when they needed him, but now that their fortune was in my hands, he suddenly had something to say. He accused me of manipulation, of turning our parents against him, as if he hadn't abandoned them the moment they became an inconvenience. For the first time, I looked at my brother and felt nothing. No jealousy, no resentment, just pity. He had spent his life taking and expecting, and now, for once, he had nothing left to claim. So I accepted. Not out of revenge, but because for the first time they had chosen me. I met Ethan's glare with an eerie calm. "You walked away first," I said simply. "You had their love, their support, everything I never got, and when they needed you, you disappeared. So don't stand here and act like I took something from you. You threw it away." His face twisted, caught between rage and something else, something like realization. But I didn't wait for an answer. I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there in the ruins of everything he thought was his. Ethan tried to fight the will, of course. He hired lawyers, made calls, demanded meetings, but our parents had been clear, and the legalities were ironclad. No amount of his entitled fury could change that. For the first time in his life, he was denied something he thought he deserved, and he had no idea how to handle it. I moved my parents into a small but comfortable place, ensuring they had the care they needed without entangling myself too deeply. They never asked for more than I was willing to give, and our conversations, though rare, became less about the past and more about the present. My mother, once blind to everything but Ethan, now looked at me with gratitude, regret, and something close to understanding. My father, though still stubborn, had softened in his own quiet way. One day, as I was leaving, my mother called out to me. "We're proud of you," she said softly, and for the first time, I believed her. I walked away, not from them, but toward a future I had built for myself. And for the first time I was free, not because I had let go of the past, but because I had finally made peace with it. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to catch all the exciting stories.